The sky over Ohio was a pale gray, the kind that felt heavy even before the cold wind touched your skin. Morning traffic rolled steadily along the highway, engines humming in rhythm, tires hissing against asphalt still damp from the night's frost. To most people, it was just another weekday commute. On the shoulder of the road, near a bent guardrail and a faded mile marker, stood a woman and a child, nearly invisible to the world rushing past them. Emily Carter held her son's hand tightly, not because he might run, but because letting go felt terrifying. Her fingers were numb, her knuckles red. The thin jacket she wore had once been warm, years ago, before life began stripping things away one by one. Beside her stood Noah, 6 years old, too quiet for his age. His backpack, patched with tape, hung loosely from one shoulder. He watched the cars go by with a strange seriousness, as if counting them might make one stop. They had been standing there for over an hour. The argument from the night before replayed in Emily's mind like a broken record. Her husband's voice, the anger, the promise, "I'll be back. Just cool off." Then the sound of the car disappearing into the dark. He never came back. Emily checked her phone again, dead. No money, no nearby houses, just road, wind, and shame creeping into her chest. She hated that feeling the most. Not hunger, not fear, shame had become a habit. A pickup truck slowed down. Emily's heart lifted, then sank as it sped away. Another car honked, not in concern, but irritation. A woman in a clean SUV glanced over, then quickly looked back to the road. Noah finally spoke. His voice was soft. "Mom, are we bad people?" Emily swallowed hard and knelt to his level, forcing a smile that cracked at the edges. "No, sweetheart, sometimes, people just don't see." She stood again, straightening her posture out of habit, as if looking strong might make the world kinder. But strength, she had learned, did not guarantee rescue. Across the lanes of traffic, a black luxury sedan slowed. Inside sat Richard Hale, eyes fixed forward as always. 15 years of success had trained him well. Drive, plan, move on. Every morning was identical. Same road, same time, same thoughts. But something tugged at his attention. He saw the boy first. Not waving, not begging, just standing there, still, silent, small. Richard felt an unexpected tightness in his chest. His driver glanced in the mirror, unsure. "Sir." Richard hesitated. The old habit rose instantly. "Not my problem. Someone else will help." But another thought followed, quiet, persistent. "What if no one does?" "Stop the car," Richard said suddenly. The sedan pulled over. Emily's body stiffened as she saw a man step out in an expensive coat. She instinctively pulled Noah closer, her heart pounding. Richard crossed the road, the cold biting his face. Up close, he saw the truth. Tired eyes, a frightened child, dignity barely holding together. "How long have you been standing here?" he asked gently. Emily's voice trembled. "Since morning." Richard looked at the endless stream of cars passing by, cars just like his. After a long silence, he spoke the words that would change everything. Warm air filled the car as the door closed behind Emily and Noah. For the first time that morning, Noah let out a small sigh, the kind children release when their bodies finally believe they are safe. He leaned against the seat, eyes fluttering, exhaustion overtaking fear. Emily sat upright, hands folded tightly in her lap. Everything felt unreal, the leather seats, the quiet hum of the engine, the absence of judgment. She kept waiting for the moment when this kindness would disappear. Richard watched them through the rearview mirror. He noticed how Emily kept glancing at Noah, as if afraid he might vanish. He noticed the way she straightened her posture every time he spoke, the habit of someone who had learned to defend her dignity even when life stripped everything else away. They stopped at a small roadside cafe, the kind most people ignored. Richard held the door open himself. Emily hesitated. "You don't have to," she began. "I know," Richard said gently. "But I want to." Inside, the smell of coffee and warm bread filled the air. Noah's eyes widened as a plate of pancakes was set in front of him. He stared at it, then at his mother, asking permission without words. Emily nodded. Noah ate slowly at first, then faster, as if afraid the food might be taken away. Emily wrapped her hands around the coffee cup, warmth spreading into places that had been cold for a long time. Her eyes filled with tears she tried desperately to hide. "Why?" she finally asked, voice barely above a whisper. "Why stop for us?" Richard paused. The question hit deeper than he expected. "For years," he said, "I trained myself not to stop. That was my habit. Success taught me to keep moving, ignore distractions, ignore pain, ignore people. He looked out the window, watching other cars rush past. This morning, I almost drove by you. Same road, same excuse. He turned back, but I realized something terrifying. I had practiced indifference so long, it became normal. Emily listened, heart pounding. My father was a bus driver, Richard continued. He used to stop for everyone, even when it made him late. I thought he was weak. Now I know he was disciplined in kindness. Something shifted in Emily's chest. That day, Richard arranged a temporary apartment through a local foundation. He made calls, not as a CEO, but as a human being. Emily was offered a job interview within a week. Noah was enrolled in a nearby school. But the greatest change happened quietly. Richard began stopping, not just that day, but every day after. He stopped listening only to profit. He stopped rushing past people. He stopped believing compassion was inefficient. Months later, Emily stood confidently behind a cafe counter, employed, steady, hopeful. Noah laughed freely now, his silence replaced with curiosity and dreams. Years passed. At a company charity event, a young teenager stepped onto the stage. Noah stood tall, voice clear. My mom taught me not to beg, he said. But one man taught me that help can come when someone breaks a habit. Richard felt tears blur his vision. In that moment, he understood the truth. Habits don't just build wealth. They build the kind of person we become. And sometimes, the bravest habit of all is stopping.